Hey guys, Stable here. Today we're going to be checking out some of these event commanders, the pay-to-win commanders. A lot of guys ask me which ones I would target, which ones not. There's a lot of them that are going to be available, pretty much all the event commanders except for the Azure lanes throughout this update cycle. If you go over here into special, currently they got 3 years worth of Halloween and the Warhammer. Warhammers are going to go away on the 1st. So if you're interested in any of these, you got to act fast. There's also something called Arpeggio of Blue Steel coming here. It's kind of like Azure Lane, girls that are associated with naval ships for some reason. And then Stellar Clash, which I think was a wargaming design event, kind of focused on outer space. So I'm not going to go over every commander that will be available, but I'm going to give you my top picks. Okay, so out of the Warhammer ones, ARTHAS the Cold is interesting, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend them. Increase your battleship's damage while catapult fighters up. So it's kind of an active ability as opposed to a passive ability where we launch the catapult fighter and then the damage spikes while it's in the air. Well, the consumable is active. Interesting. I use it occasionally, but I don't think it's that competitive. I mean, you give up a lot for that ability. The one that I would strongly recommend if you're interested in any Warhammer, RIEGERWALD. I actually got this guy in every German cruiser that I can think of. Probably not all of them, but the majority of them, especially the ones that are AP focused. Okay, we got AP shell damage here, yes. Reload time, yes. But check this out. Slot 2, unique perk. Cruiser speed, okay, we'll take that all day, any day. And then the AP shell penetration multiplier, 10%. Oof, we got more pen here. By the way, we got more pen over here, and then ricochet angle reduction reduces the ability of the enemy's team to angle and protect themselves. So this is an extreme AP build here, and I think it's quite effective. So RIEGERWALD, you can't necessarily get them individually. You can either take your chances with the crates or buy the ship across the Dorn. I never got that. I think it's kind of similar to the York. But that one's not in my fleet, so I can't speak to that. Or you could try your luck at these crates, and I think it's about a 5% chance. These guys have their own type of crates. I think I don't even know. Yeah, the red ones are for, you could get Ragnarok for 10%, and then this Leon's over here, 10% chance, I think. So those are your options. Warhammers are kind of not the most intriguing commanders out of the bunch. The Halloween ones, outstanding. Now, the first crop of them, you can make a case for all three. Hellsinger I used to use a lot until they introduced the twist and track type perks on all destroyers, which reduced his value. So Hellsinger I don't recommend anymore. We'll talk about Fishy if you want to get. He's in the Space Fishy. He's in the Stellar Clash group. We'll come back to him in a sec. But the other two sets out of the first sets of Halloween here. Where is he? Here he is. Einstein. I got him on all my American Heavy cruisers. Why is that? Cruiser gun traverse speed here, yes. And cruiser gun traverse speed here, yes. Double traverse boost, which if you've got some experience on the American Heavies, you know turret traverse tends to be a problem. And by the way, we can still go a strong AP build over here. And basically the same idea as we got on the German. So Einstein, outstanding as a cruiser commander. And you can put him on as an inspiration as well. And then the third one, Hyde. Very powerful. Early on in the game's life cycle, they used to combine the ability, you got accuracy here and here, and then the heals. They don't do this anymore because it's considered such a powerful build. Now, I don't run Hyde as often as I would if I was going to set up all my ships as most competitive as possible. Usually you'd want to run him, but I got Celiacs in his secondary builds on a few of the ships. I got a specialized, the Scharnhorst Gale over here, actually, on some of my torpedo centric German battleships, but outstanding build here. And Alidad really reduces their ability to angle against your ship. So very, very powerful here. And of course you got, well, there's no will to rebuild, so that's probably a major knock for some of you guys. But other than that, it's a very, very good commander. So Hyde, Einstein would be kind of my targets out of the first group of Halloween. That's the Halloween 19. Halloween 20, we got MCMORDOFF, Splendento, and Blue. Now, Blue, interesting. I'm not recommending this one, but it is interesting. The Mosquito Brutes took the reload, 30% reduction, torpedo damage -40. So you're spitting out torps all the time. Sometimes I'll run this on the T61 or some of those, and you can have some interesting and fun games with that. But Mordoff, who I actually got disguised as Brady McMordoff over here, but I got this guy in all my, not all of them, all my gunboat American destroyers, so the vast majority of them. And then I'll put Gleaves over there on some of the more torpedo-focused ones. Destroyer main battery reload, -5/4, -6 max. Sure, why not? Great, you got twist and track, you got concealment, you got the reload time on the main battery, so we're pumping out damage. And check this out. Risk of main battery being incapacitated, -100% if you max this puppy. -75 at the level I got. And same thing with the torpedoes. So that's pretty strong over here. Great build. Great build. You could consider using them as an inspiration if you want, but I just use it mainly as a U.S. destroyer commander. And then over here, another one that you can take a look at is Splendento. And this is one you could conceivably put on the vast majority of your Russian destroyers if you want. I got them here and there between him, usually in Trubetskoy, Trubes we call them. But destroyer gun traverse, quite a boost there. And that's problematic on a lot of the Soviet destroyers. So already great. And then I got some of the Russian destroyers have functional torps, some of them don't. I usually run this guy and the guy that does. And same thing, similar to Mordoff, we got risk of engine being incapacitated and then the steering gears. So if you boost that, you can really reduce the chances of getting knocked out. And even if you do, you still got this over here. So very strong build as well. Splendento and Mordoff would be my picks from the Halloween 20 event. And then Halloween 21, not as bountiful. Now, some of you guys like some of the other commanders as much or more than I do, I should say. But the one I like, Ivan B. Delightful, we call this the T. Kana, the old community contributor or community manager, the head honcho for the game, T. Kana. He's moved on to World of Tanks, I think. But I think this is the one that looks kind of like him. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, yeah, very, very good for Riga and Stalingrad, and we'll see some of those other Soviet heavy cruisers that come along. Main battery reload, sure, that's fine, but what we're mainly looking at here is the hyper accuracy. Okay, sure, we're adding a little bit of detectability for our ships, but dispersion and grouping, if you really boost those, you're getting negative or 8% change to each of them, which is extremely powerful. And those ships start off kind of wonky with the aim, so we're boosting that with the Scharnhorst, who's the dispersion commander as well, and then we can boost the AP and the range and whatever else we want to do. So another good build here. The other two from that year's Halloweens are fine, but they're not as enticing. Now the Arpeggios, we're not seeing them yet. I can't promise you they're coming, but I'd be very surprised if they didn't, because it's listed as being available, and there wasn't really much else content besides the commanders. The main one that I use out of this grouping, and most of them are Japanese, it's these kids here. I got the Iona on carriers. If you're a carrier player, this is actually a pretty good commander to have, and the base trait's great. Aircraft restoration time. I basically put that on all my aircraft carriers. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we didn't. Did we talk about Stellar Clash? No, we haven't talked about that yet. Anyway, Arpeggio of Steel here. This is the one. Now, this is a secondary build specialist. Secondary gun range, boom, 4%. Not bad, but the dispersion, secondary battery, you can get it -15 if you max this thing. So my secondary builds are guys that have Porcupine, like Celiax, or I think the Italian guy, Pablo, for instance. But then we got Haruna and von Hipper, the base German commander that basically does the inverse of this, right? So if you combine them, they're very strong. Von Hipper, here he is, secondary gun range, huge boost, 15%, and then the grouping, okay, 5%. Here we're kind of seeing the inverse of that. Range, a little bit of a boost, and then the dispersion, similar to the grouping, a little bit slightly different, but accuracy nonetheless. So we're really enhancing the accuracy and boosting the range a little bit. You put those both on there, you get really good range and really good accuracy on these secondaries as well. So I only use that as an inspiration. It's not a bad build for Japanese battleships as well, if you're looking to mix that up. torpedo damage, incoming damage to the Citadel. Sure, those aren't bad things to have, but it's kind of a survival build here. So again, I just use that mainly as an inspiration. The Stellar Clash commanders, there's two of them there's three of them. There's this pickup, which a lot of you guys are always like, oh, check out pickup. I don't use them, but there are players that recommend him. It's just not something that I've ever felt compelled to use because I got so many German battleship commanders. But the ones I do use, Space Fishy right here, basically similar to Tanaka, but with some boosts, including torpedo speed, which you can put that on carriers as an inspiration. You can put that on a lot of destroyer lines if you want. That's basically an accuracy boost because the torpedoes will get to the target faster. You got torpedo perks here. You got detection. You got twist and track. Engine boost cooldown. This will give you typically 4 engine boosts on your ships and the Japanese destroyers that you're putting this on. And then very quick. I think the engine boost typically lasts for about a minute, but you get 4 of them and they cycle very quickly. So interesting perk there. I generally run this on pretty much most of my Japanese destroyers, at least the torpedo focused one. So very good Space Fishy there. That's worth picking up. And BEAPLEY, I got this on Wichita. You can use it more extensively if you want, but I usually prefer Einstein. Or if I'm going light cruiser, usually I got Norm Scott over here, or we can... I got other options, but BEAPLEY is more heavily used on some people's navies than mine. I just have it kind of as a specialty. Risk of catching fire, not a bad inspiration, by the way. Throw that on battleships or whatever else you want, but we got maneuverability. We got ingenious, which, you know, turret traverse, outstanding for those Americans. Here we also have another thing that'll tell if you're being targeted, but the incoming dispersion, if we boosted this, it would be a 4.5. And then this one right here, cruiser detectability. So you can go with a stealth kind of maneuverability and then dispersion build here. So you're really hitting kind of 3 aspects of a ship build with this. So it's a versatile build, and it's some people's really into BEAPLEY. I think it's a good build. I just don't use it as extensively as some. But you know, I could put that on maybe New Orleans as well, would be another good ship. But Wichita or any of those cruisers, or if you want to run it on your Baltimore and Buffalo and whatever else, it'd be a fine build for that one as well. So those are the ones out of all the commanders are going to be available, presumably during this update, that I would really target. I think those are all strong. If you can buy them directly, that's the way I would recommend doing it. Whenever you're playing around with crates, you're rolling the dice. Okay. So 5,000 doubloons, if that's worth it to you. If you really want these commanders, I'd say go ahead and get them directly if possible. The Warhammer ones, you got to buy the ships or the crates. Those are harder to get at a reasonable price, and they're less powerful. So I would, out of the ones we're currently looking at, Halloween I'd go for first and foremost, and then I'm guessing the Arpeggio of Steel is going to be replacing the Warhammer. I'm guessing it's going to be, I don't think there's Arpeggio of Steel ships, so maybe you'll be able to buy those directly, or maybe it'll just be crates. And then the Stellar Clash, hopefully you can buy those directly as well. It's a lot easier and cheaper if you're going to buy them directly and you know what you're going to get. So anyway, that's a look at all those commanders for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, hey, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.